Hello, everybody. Welcome to Awakened Positive Power, where beautiful Darcy Marta and myself, Jemima Godsall, we bring you conversations to do with mental health awareness, suicide prevention, and depression. Yeah, another
Depression.
happy. Sorry, no, let's think of all of the ones. Anyway, welcome, welcome, welcome. Those of you who haven't been here before, just before we get going, there is a disclaimer down below, and there is a 1-800 suicide prevention number if you have your difficulties yourself, or if you know anyone who does need help. There is that number to call, so you know you are never alone. And on that note too, Darcy and I actually are here to present conversations or to talk about things just so we all know we're not alone, and we're just trying to normalize the conversation surrounding these topics, which can be quite heavy sometimes. And we're just coming from you from a place of friendship. We've both got experience in our own ways with these topics, but we are just purely really just bringing light from a friendship side, from just our own understanding with it. So Das, yeah, today I'm feeling a bit flat. We're actually going to talk about something a little bit personal, guys. So if you just be warned that it is going to be talking about menstrual cycles and menopause and things. So if that is offensive to you, then please just be warned in advance. You may not want to watch this one. Otherwise, come on down. That sounds obscene. But anyway, you never know. So yeah, I am 47 and I'm going through my end of my cycle. I have been full flooding, dare I say that, since I was 9 years old on Christmas Day. Yeah, very young, and it's been a severe menstrual cycle every month religiously, except when I was doing drugs, I have to say, obviously. That was kind of off and on, but I still knew the week. It was kind of weird. I still knew when it was coming, because even though I might miss a week, the next month the cycle would be just exactly the same. I could follow it by the moon.
Wow.
I could follow it. Yeah, it was amazing. I felt things like I was a real woman, how I represented the menstrual cycle. And then coming to it now, I'm going into my premenopausal years. Quite young, but my mum went through menopause quite young too. Sorry, mum. Don't mean to out you. And it's very confusing, especially with the menstrual cycle. I went through the emotional cycle with the menstrual cycle, and I'm extremely emotional when it comes into my period. I get very depressed. I was on medication when I was younger. I tried so many different things, and I now just don't do anything except for primrose oil. But it's extremely confusing right now. And Darcy, I was just telling you that this last week I've been really I'm okay, but there's just this last week I started having thoughts of suicide again. I felt like deeply depressed. I was very teary, but I haven't had my period for like 8 weeks. So I'm not sure what's happening anymore. And I'm not with the moon. I'm not on the cycle usually with my full moon. It's just very, very confusing. I can't clock into justifying any of my behavior. Then I think, oh, maybe it is my period. And then those times I do, it's not. And then I'm waiting more weeks. And then now I'm thinking I can't rely on that anymore to be my cycle, even though the emotions are much more extreme too. I don't know if they're more extreme because I'm not sure of what's going on in my cycle, whereas before I could put a timeline to it. But the suicidal thoughts, maybe because I'm sober too, are very intense, very, very intense. And a depression is very intense. And it was overwhelming for my lover and I this last week. And it was unexplained. I felt like, oh my God, what's happening? And I'm a little confused, Das. Do you have any input? Because I'm not to out you as well, but I know you've been through menopause. Right. Sorry. And just for anybody, and men as well, to understand this conversation, because I know my lover is just as confused as I am, but he's a beautiful person to be around because he's just so sensitive and caring about it. But, and it's just confusing, and I'm not quite sure how to tackle this one, especially the emotions. And I'm an active person. I do Pilates, I do meditation, I have my rituals. So it's really how do I deal with it?
How do I deal with it? Well, I think that you've got two things going on. All right. But the interesting thing about those two things going on is that they connect, they intersect anyway. And so let's deal with both of those things as separate things and then bring them together. All right. So I mean, I think first of all, your big feelings, Jemima, your depression is something that you are working through. And I really want to use that phrase, working through, right? So, depression, you use drugs for a long time. And what drugs often do is, well, reason we do drugs is really to cover our feelings, right? Cigarettes, alcohol, behavior, shopping, drugs, whatever. These things are all about covering our feelings. And we find ways to keep ourselves from our big feelings. Because when we have our big feelings come up, and we don't know how to manage them, we also have big thoughts, right? So if a big anger surge comes up that we haven't dealt with something, we don't know how to deal with something that's making us angry or making us sad or hurt. And so if we don't find help in dealing with it, oftentimes people will suppress it with drugs, alcohol, etc., and behavior. So once you get sober, it's going to take a while to manage those big feelings. And I really think that one of the things that we need to look at when you're finally sober is one, and I know it's really hard, don't be in a hurry to have everything be perfect right now. You spent a lot of time with your avoidance behavior, right? With your behavior. Spend a lot of time with your drugs and etc. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get into a groove with who you are sober.
Yeah.
All right. It's gonna take some ups and downs and some time to manage all these big feelings and all of that emotional energy that you spent a lot of time going crush it, crush it. So there's that. But I also want to say that it's also going to take a little bit of recognizing grief. There's a lot of grief in there when you spend a lot of time as an addict. There are things and lifestyle behavior that you do that was not a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
And once that's all over, sometimes we look back with regret or disdain, and we say, who am I now? I totally screwed up my opportunities. I did these things happened, and I'm really grateful to be alive right now. And I love who I am right now. But so I think, processing that grief and also processing the fact, like, where am I? Normally I would be really stoned right now, but I'm present right now. And it's a huge feeling. And so there is that aspect.
True. Yeah.
All right. So that's that whole thing. And you have your tools to deal with your big feelings. I really want to say you don't have to know why you feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up feeling cruddy. Okay, here I am feeling cruddy. I don't have to know why. Go ahead.
But Dust, it's such a big feeling of suicide, and I'm not taking, guys. I'm just wanting to
No.
let you know, not a light topic at all, because I attempted suicide 2019 and I luckily survived. So I'm not just throwing that word around. So it's really scary. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
To have it so present again, and it's for, like, I know that I'm not going to, but it's very challenging to feel so out of, to hear the same conversation,
Yeah.
battling in my head, going, oh, it hasn't diminished at all, and is that just hormonal? And on top of, you know, getting back into me, I'm not sure if it's just the habit of it or why it's extreme before my period. It's just, anyway. Sorry, yeah, keep going.
Right. No, that's a great question. I mean, I'm sorry. First of all, let me just acknowledge that. Okay. I'm sorry that you struggle with that. And I'm sorry that you had a hard week dealing with that. I mean, I know how debilitating it is. I'm really sorry
Thank
you're
you.
going through that.
Thank you.
Um, It doesn't matter why,
Okay.
is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's the hormones or if it's the grief over the whatever past life, you know, this stuff or that stuff. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're here now with these big feelings. You're here now, and you're going to be present here now. And this is really what your body is asking you to do right now. It's asking you to be present, to not try to control it or fix it or label it or run away from it. It's asking you to honor it, to feel it, to be with it. If your feelings are so, you know, overwhelming that you're afraid you might take action, then you know you need to call somebody.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
Um, and but one of the things I think that we're really doing here is becoming really mindful of our feelings and our body.
Yeah.
I think that society does not allow for us to take time to process. It takes time to process, takes time, and then it's really uncomfortable. I mean, it's painful, and we have to allow ourselves to process it, to experience it, to kind of sink into it and feel it and say to ourselves, this is what makes me human. I have big feelings. Where do I feel it in my body? Isn't that amazing that we can feel feelings in our body?
But how do we, me and my personalities, how how do, like, I feel like they're so big. I remember saying to Chris this week, crying, just going, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to sit with this. And I know I've got big emotions and that's beautiful, but this is like really far out there. And I am sober and I am clean. I'm not going to commit suicide, but it's challenging,
Yeah,
very challenging to function and to not let it destroy my day, destroy his day,
right,
destroy everyone else around me.
right.
And I
Yeah.
just
I would say also it might be time to actually go and get a regular therapist that
okay,
you deal with on a regular basis and really sit down and do some really true dig it out of their therapy with
mhm,
someone that you, and it takes a while to find the right therapist.
yeah,
It
of
really
course.
does. You know, there's a couple of websites now. There's betterhelp.com, and then there's heal me, you know, and there's a couple of those. And really the point should be not to get medication,
Of course, no, I don't want. I
but
don't
the
want.
right,
Yeah,
but the point is to find a good therapist.
mhm,
And so you'll get, you know, you'll put in all your information and they help, you know, help match you up with somebody who's willing to take you on as a client or a patient or whatever, and really start working on some true, real therapy. You know, I'm totally about hypnotherapy,
yeah,
right? I'm totally about hypnotherapy. I'm like, re-listen to your sessions.
yeah.
You know, we'll do another session for you in a while.
Thank
Um,
you.
and
I
you
have
really,
a session twice already.
oh, great, great, great. And then, but sometimes the cognitive therapy
Yeah,
helps make things really clear. It helps make things really, really clear. So I think it might be time for that. You know, I started looking at my personal patterns that I wanted to get rid of. I said, you know what, it's 2022. I can see that I still have some patterns that have really been tripping me up throughout my life. They kind of like come and go, you know. I'll have years where I'm like sailing in this great direction. Everything's like boom, you know, like full steam ahead, right? All great. And then I will jump into a relationship that's destructive, or I will pull the brakes because of some random fear, or I'll have somebody come back into my life, or and et cetera, et cetera. And so I said, you know what? I'm just going to go back into therapy myself and really look at my personal patterns and really start to break those patterns that I feel that I can sense but can't see clearly on my own. It's hard to be objective about myself. I can help other people as a hypnotherapist. I need to help myself. So, and I'll tell you, it's really been powerful for me. It's been so powerful because I'm older. I have a greater perspective on the working with a therapist. I take more responsibility for my participation. No one's doing anything to me or for me but me. So it might be time for you to really work with somebody on that level and really think about it. And I'll text you some ideas of how to find a therapist. And just because you find one therapist on it doesn't mean that's the person for you. You might have to try a couple of people. So that's that. And I think that really might be a good thing for you. That way you don't have to load up your lover with it.
I know, that's the last thing I want to do. Like, especially.
However, that's one of the reasons that person loves you.
True. And I mean, that's what I'm learning, is that he's not scared, which is just a precious thing. And because I would be I would be if I was watching it. I'd be like, no, Jemima, you look.
Hey, you already did that to yourself. You already said bye-bye. And then you came back.
I feel very fortunate. I mean, he's a little wild too, but he's older and got some years on him, which is just really, in this moment, I'm noticing why it's so helpful. Like, I know there's a certain wisdom there, a certain groundedness, a bit like you, Darcy, in terms of, not to age you at all, but to age you at all, but that 12, 13 years, that makes a big difference at this stage in our life in terms of the wisdom behind those years. And that's what I'm really loving working with you, and loving working with Chris, or being with Chris, because you are able to enlighten me because you've gone through something similar, or you get this feeling, because I'm not young, but sometimes I really don't have a grip, and it's exciting to hear from you guys and have that stability, that's backbone and guidance, so thank you.
Right. And the other thing is remember your self-talk. How do you talk to yourself?
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. I'm trying to break it, but it's such a deep, dark seated, long 37 even more years. I'm 47, so it's deep.
And all that stuff takes a long time. So every time you say something terrible to yourself, reverse it and say something great. So if you say, oh, you're such an idiot, say, clear. I'm going to say the word clear. Clear. No, I'm not an idiot. I'm taking my time to think right now.
But Darcy, I won't have time to talk to anybody else then. I'll be talking to myself the whole time. Clear.
I do. I have to say clear a lot to myself. I do. Why did I do that one? That was great. Clear. Okay. Let's relook at that a second.
That's a good way of relearning, because I know that I sort of try to relearn, but it's just becomes, like last week was just so overwhelming that I just had to hear it, and it was just it's abusive, it's vile, it's aggressive, it's violent, it's just it's disturbing to see how messed up, and why I took drugs.
Like, I understand. So
escape,
Here's a post-it. Do you have any post-its?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do you have any paper?
Yes, I've got lots of paper.
Or do you have a bathroom mirror?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any eyeliner or lipstick? Okay. So on the bathroom mirror, you're going to write the word pause.
Let me just write this down. Pause.
Pause. You're going to write pause. 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 And then you're going to say reset.
Reset. Yep.
And then you're going to say clear.
Okay. I like it. I can do that.
And then you're going to put that in post-its around the place. because you're going to try to integrate this language into your speech.
Okay.
So when you have those self-effacing moments, it's pause, reset,
Clear.
reset those thoughts. Let's reset those thoughts. Clear, reset. But the pause oftentimes will stop it. Sometimes we have to stop it before we let it escalate into bigger feelings.
Yeah.
All right. So I know I talk about this little girl I have quite a bit, right? I have this little girl who's going through temper tantrum phase.
Yes.
So she's really brilliant. But so she's discovered her big voice. She can scream. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah. She can scream like nobody's business. She is loud. And then she winds herself up. So if you say, hey, pause, I want you to reset, that's your outside voice. She'll scream even louder. She'll throw, and then once she hears herself screaming, she works herself up into crying. And then once she works herself up into crying, she screams even louder. And then it's really hard once the child works themselves up to bring them back to earth is really difficult, right? And you got to wait it out patiently. Say, you can cry, have those feelings. Why don't you go cry on the big pillow so you don't hurt yourself, right? So anyway, I was doing something and she was right here and she let out a blood curdling scream right in my ear. And so I didn't say anything. I picked her up, I took her outside, closed the door, and stood there. And so what it did was it shocked her for a minute because I just took her out of the situation and took her outside. I didn't do it mean.
Yeah, no.
I didn't do
Just
it
it was
hard.
the reset,
I
the
just,
pause, the reset.
I
Yeah.
just literally, I didn't even say pause and say anything. She screamed. I'm like, whoa. I just picked her up, took her outside, and we stood there like that. I sat there. And she was like this. And we were really quiet. And then I said, look, the wind is blowing in the trees. And she looks at the wind blowing in the trees. And I said, now the funny thing about wind is you can see the trees move. You can feel it on your face, but you can't actually see it. I said, isn't that amazing? And the two of us just sat there and contemplated it and contemplated it. And then I looked at her and said, well, I see you really got in control of those big feelings. Are you ready to go inside now?
Beautiful.
Nice work. Nice work. So I said, wow, that really shows your greatness.
Yeah.
So that really shows your greatness. You're showing yourself how to control yourself. So we did two things there with her. And she said, oh, she got all very proud of herself, right? So we did two things. One is we broke her trance. So we took her out of the environment. Two, we made her full of mindfulness. What's happening right now? Right? We could feel the wind, it broke her trance. Then I said, I can see you're really working on those big feelings.
Yeah.
I can see you're really working on that. Oh, I think I put my hand on, I think I put my hand on her heart. Right?
Darcy, say that is just amazing that the work you just did with that little girl, you probably changed her whole life.
Right. So I got to tell you, the payback is amazing. So, I mean, I think I put my hand on, I said, I can feel your big feelings still. Said, how you doing with that? She's like, okay. And I said, you ready to go in? Right. We dealt with it. And then I filled her up. Showed your greatness. You really worked on that. You really took control of that. I can see. I said, are you ready to go inside and use your inside voice too? Absolutely. No problem. I didn't have to yell at her, get mad at her. I didn't have to tell her what she already knew, which is you don't scream inside. I didn't have to do any of that. I didn't have to do anything except look at the wind. So this is what I'm saying is we have to do this for ourselves. So those big feelings come up. You need to break your trance. You need to become mindful. Where's the world around me? Wow, this feels really hard in my head, hard in my body. It hurts me with these big feelings, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Fill yourself up, Jemima. You're working on it. And every time you tell yourself, like, this feels terrible, just like you do with your Pilates people, You say, come on, you guys. I know you hate me right now, but you got to do it a little bit more, right? You get them there like, I hate this. I hate this, right? You do the same thing for yourself. And that's what pause, reset, and clear is about, right? It's
Oh,
also
Jesus.
what mindfulness is about. This is mindfulness. This is practicing mindfulness, okay? We can't expect ourselves to be totally right back, okay, I'm good to go. I stopped all my bad behavior and now everything's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I get so impatient, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm nearly 2 years, my birthday, 2 years sober. So
Two
it's so
years.
young. Yeah, it's so young, but then I feel like that's a long time. Come on. But then I was on drugs for 20 years.
Yeah,
So the self-abuse has been for 37. So it's like,
yeah,
it just confuses me, because
yeah.
I do think,
Time is just a concept.
yeah, it's true.
Time is just a concept. It's a short time that seems like a long time.
I
Or
just
it's
feel like
a
the
long
work,
time that seems like a short time. I don't
yeah.
know. Same thing.
And I just feel like sometimes the work that in the moments, for like last week, so dramatic and so big and so oh, sickly, um, all the work that I have done seems to just go blue. Even sticking to my morning ritual, sticking to my job, sticking onto this stuff, it didn't matter. I was like heartless in it, just freaking doing it because I fucking got to do it. Part of my language, YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to prove to myself that, oh well, I can still do it. Like, just this whole thing was wrong. And it was like, sometimes I think like, all this work I've done, like I feel like a fraud, what's it for? When I get to that stage, am I missing something? I'm
Yeah.
missing something to be going back
Yeah.
so far. It's a feel of just defeat. And then it takes, then I got my period, and I'm sort of going, okay, makes a little sense, but is it really my period? You know what I
But
mean? Like,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it is or it isn't.
right, yeah, okay.
It
I
really
get it.
doesn't matter. It's how you deal with it. If it is your period or it isn't, it's not like it's going to change it. It is what it is. It's how you're dealing with it. And remember, you're a precious spirit. And you always got to remember to treat yourself like a precious spirit in that moment. That I really do believe in God. I know a lot of people don't, but I do believe that God is in everybody and every creature and etc. And so you certainly wouldn't treat God that way.
No, not at
So
all.
when you treat yourself that way, you can look at that reflection and remember to fill yourself up. You're doing it. Write it down, stick it on pieces of paper so that you remember, hey, I feel bad this time. And remember the last time that I felt really, really, really bad? I made it through. So while I feel really bad today, okay, I'll make it through because I made it through the really, really, really bad time before. You made it through, you made it through. You're going to keep making it through, and it gets easier and easier and easier. So I feel this is also true of menopause. I feel like menopause, well, energetically, we have the chakras in our body, right? That's where the energy comes in and goes out through the body. You have the first chakra, and then the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, which is your connection to spirit, right? So as you age, the energy moves upward through the body, right? So when you're a little kid, you're all about the first chakra: food, clothing, shelter, sexuality, trust, right? It's all about the self in the world, getting the needs met. The second chakra is your big, deep feelings, right?
Sure is.
Right.
Yeah. I was working with that today with my clients, actually. How funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also where your reproductive organs are.
Yeah.
It's your
Yeah.
ability to create, it's your creation, right? Creation power. And then your third is your willpower. How do you get things done out in the world? And then you move up into the heart, and that's your higher feelings, right? So you have your gut feelings, then you have your heart, your higher feelings, then you have your self-expression, your psychic ability, and your connection to spirit. As you move, as you have menopause, the energy leaves those first chakras, because hopefully you've established a relationship to trust, and basic needs, wants, and desires are fulfilled. And you don't need to live in your reproductive creativity. You can move into your higher love creativity, your higher expression of creativity. So it moves upward in your body. Okay. So the menopause, in order to understand menopause and let it flow through the body energetically, is to really get into your body and to really feel and experience. You don't have to know what your regular cycle is. You can grieve that loss if you want, or that change. You could say goodbye to that part of you that that you equated with being
So many years.
right, being a real one. I was really sad when my period stopped. I got really sad for a number of months where I was like, wow, I'm not going to have a baby ever again. Or, wow, this means I'm old. I mean, there's all these weird things that go through your head. And then, so one of the things you can do is visualize. This is really fun. Visualize your ovaries area covered in orange light. See a smile go from ovary to ovary. Smile go from ovary to ovary. And then visualize that energy moving upward through the body, up and out. So bring that energy up and out, and do it with visualization. Add that to your morning meditation or whatever your regular meditation.
Beautiful.
Really work on moving it up and out of your body. Okay. And remember, you don't have to know why.
Yeah.
Rid of the why.
It's a lot of pressure off. It really does. Like to think, like even when I just asked, is maybe it's my menstruation, and you're like, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Even if it is, it doesn't matter. It's not. It doesn't. It could be, couldn't be, and that's so true. It's like it doesn't matter. Either way, it's happening, and it's not gonna help any. The understanding comes. I don't know. I don't know why you need the understanding. Maybe just something else to external to go. Oh, that's why. Rather than just finding it within.
Right.
Finding a reason externally rather than finding the reason within and just being with it.
Right. And so it's another way to sit and be with your body, experience it changing, being with the miracle of having a body. It's a miracle, the way we change and grow. It's a miracle. And when we allow ourselves to experience these changes in us, it's the miracle of our change as we develop as a person in our thought process, in our mind, in our spirit, and in our feelings. So it's asking you to be really mindful, get into your body, and just really pay attention to the whole process.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of like you're documenting it or you're witnessing it, right? It's a whole process.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is your opportunity to be mindful with your body, right?
Yeah.
Be mindful.
I know. Well, it's really, I mean, I love being in my career because it's working. I'm noticing how out of touch really I am with my body, and how I don't want to ever be like coming out of my addiction, where clients, I always did my best, by the way, but I was a fraud to an extent because I was not sober. And that always taints my perception of, sadly, of my beautiful career. And I was committed, dedicated, and 100% in there and did everything fabulously, but I was an addict. So I was kind of out of touch in the biggest way with myself. So this whole coming into this career, kind of a newbie with myself, because I realized how much I've neglected myself with the words and the teachings I've given my students, and how you and I, Darcy, even in this conversation, say, oh, it's great, we've got to practice what we preach. Can't get away with it now. Got to do it. You can't just be sitting here babbling, So it's really quite exciting to see. Well, I can take it as exciting. Yeah.
Can I just say, you just said something that tells me have you processed the grief, and forgiveness over that part of you?
The career is tough because I feel it's such an insult to the industry I was into. Like, and I'm very fortunate I didn't hurt anybody. So it's very challenging. In one way, I just give so much more. I feel the quality I give now is just so clean and so dedicated. That's the sort of the way I can learn to forgive myself. But I've kind of ignored. I don't really confront it. I just try and work my best and the most honest as well, you know. And
Yeah.
it's a challenge because I don't want to. I mean, like for my clients, then finding out that I was an addict, I didn't want to insult the industry and insult my fellow workers who didn't know, and they're all blind to it. And I was just a genius at being a functioning addict. And I was freaking still just as good, but it was the element of connection with myself,
Right,
and
right.
even probably more so sometimes. Sorry, yeah. So
I
the
say,
forgiveness
when you go get therapy, I really want you to find out how to process the grief in there of being a fraud that you keep saying. I want you to process that grief and find the forgiveness to forgive yourself in there so you can move beyond that, because you've mentioned that a number of times. You're holding on to being that label of being a fraud. You're certainly not a fraud. You had so much integrity even while you were self-destructive. So I'll give you that you are self-destructive, but you had a lot of integrity towards others with it. And you can hook into that. You know, there's always something going right, they say. So, you know, allow yourself to see that resilience and that beauty in there, even in that darkness, and find someone who can help you process that grief and process that forgiveness for yourself. Um, you know, that's one of the things with my family members, that um, that person was amazing at hiding their addiction. And I kept thinking, what is going on here? What is going on? Is it Alzheimer's? Is it, you know, sundowner syndrome? Is it, I mean, what is happening? And they were great at hiding it, great, until they finally weren't. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
It took me a long time. And the reason it took me a long time to see it is because I had lived with it my whole life. My whole life. And I was used to being in situations where people were alcoholics and drug addicts, and I was used to it because that's what I was surrounded by continuously. So it was very hard for me to recognize it because that's what you get used to. So, you know, I have to work on forgiving myself for not seeing it clearly, for putting myself in the position to be near those people, you know, and it's not because I'm not an intelligent human being, like I'm so dumb I go do that to myself. Not at all. I have to get over my grief at having spent time with people that were not worth my time, but I got used to that kind of behavior. So anyway, I'm just saying that when you go and get therapy, that you really work on those two ideas, grief and forgiveness. So let me tell you the payoff of the little girl.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? So this is this little girl, the screamer girl, right? And so I'm just trying to nip it in the bud before she lets it escalate, you know. No dialogue, just whoosh, let's redirect that. Let's find it. So, you know, I have these Invisaligns on my teeth, right? And I have to take them off in order to eat lunch with the kids. So I try to do it so it's not ugly, right? Take it off. And she says, Miss Darcy, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, well, my teeth are crooked and I have these things. So I explained it to him, and she pats me on the shoulder and she says, it's okay, Miss Darcy, everybody's different.
Oh, bless.
I'm like, oh yeah. I said, thank you for that. Thank
So
you
precious.
Everybody's different.
That is
You know,
beautiful.
like maybe I sounded apologetic or something, but she picked up on it.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
3.
3 years old. Wow.
Everybody's different. And I said,
Yeah.
well, thanks, you're so sweet. That's so wonderful. Right. And then some little kid spilled something on the table. And I said, here, I'll go get some towels. And she goes, that's okay. We'll help you clean it up.
Oh, bless.
Oh my God. It's awesome.
That's
My
amazing.
screamer is like becoming like this little Buddha baby.
But that's just such a reflection of the powerful work you're doing with these kids. You know, how wonderful.
Yeah.
How wonderful. And I mean, I'd love to be that kid too, because I'm going to take that little kid's, what you did with the little kid, I'm taking it on board. So thank you. And guys out there, like, that's some amazing, amazing technique that you can sort of do. You can take on to just take a regroup, set yourself in the present moment, what's happening live in front of you, rather than the chaos in your head. You know, stop, reset, pause, reset, and clear. You know?
Yeah. Walk
Um,
away, walk outside, take a deep breath,
yeah,
whatever you need to do.
yeah. Das, it's kind of time. Do we want to just leave it, close it tonight? Because that was an amazing, like, end way to sort of that little girl story, and
Yeah.
the comms, rather than spotting you with the talk, you've done so much wonderful help this evening. So not talk, a card pull or a meditation. I think I'm just going to be nice to you tonight and let you off the hook, because that was some really powerful one-on-one we had then, and I thank you, and I hope that other people can get some help from it too, because these are just natural things that we go through, particularly as women, and guys know this is just something true that we process, and guys go through their own menopause anyway, I believe. But,
They
well,
do.
that's topic. You know, that's another topic, but I do believe it. My I was about to say my husband, my lover, is in on that conversation too. So anyway,
Oh, good. I had time out. We will talk about it, because you know what? Men do go through menopause.
Yeah,
and it really does affect them physically. And we can talk about that.
And we need to talk about it louder, because it's been the way that society has not had that open conversation. So they apparently don't have their period, they don't have menopause, and they do in a totally different way. They go cycles as we do. Anyway, another topic, guys. Yeah, come back for more. Darcy, thank you. And everyone, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We love you. Sundays at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Peace out. Love you, Darcy. Thank you.
Love you. I love you.
Bye.